In the year of our Lord 1666, the sun hung low over the dense, verdant jungles of Golconda, casting elongated shadows that danced along the ground like wraiths of the ancient past. The air was heavy with humidity, laden with the scents of earth and decay, as a band of weary laborers emerged from the depths of the mines, their hands blackened by soot and their hearts burdened by whispers of a dreaded curse. Amongst them, a glint of azure caught the eye of a young miner, Raghav, who knelt to examine a stone that shimmered with an otherworldly brilliance. It was a diamond of unusual hue, deep and rich, like the twilight sky kissed by starlight. Raghav's breath hitched as he held the stone up to the light, its facets reflecting an ethereal glow. Yet as he marveled at the precious gem, the murmurs of his elders echoed in his mind, tales of a divine statue desecrated, of wrathful spirits seeking vengeance on those who dared to claim what was never theirs. The diamond, once part of a sacred image of the goddess Sita, had been wrenched from the sanctum of a temple, sparking the ire of the divine. Raghav felt a chill creep along his spine, but the lure of wealth proved irresistible. He tucked the diamond into a leather pouch and hurried home, visions of prosperity dancing in his mind, unaware that he had set in motion a chain of events steeped in tragedy and misfortune. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the shadows deepened, and the jungle echoed with the cries of unseen creatures, heralding the birth of a legend. Years passed, and the diamond found its way into the hands of a cunning trader named Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, whose adventurous spirit led him to the shores of France. The diamond, now encased in a simple setting, was showcased in the royal court of King Louis XIV, where it captivated the eyes of the nobility. Yet with each admiring gaze, the atmosphere thickened with dread, as ominous tales of the diamond's curse began to circulate among the courtiers. Whispers of misfortune befell those who owned it, of madness and despair, became the talk of the salons. As Tavernier returned to India, his fortune immensely increased, but marred by the shadows of sorrow. He fell victim to a brutal attack by bandits, his lifeblood spilled upon the earth he had sought to conquer. The diamond, now known as the Blue Diamond of the Crown, passed from hand to hand, each owner meeting with untimely demise. It eventually found its way into the possession of King George IV of England, where the royal court flourished amidst lavish balls and extravagant displays. Yet the specter of doom loomed ever closer. The king's health faded, and with it, the lives of those around him crumbled into ruin, his beloved family plagued by grief and misfortune. Legends grew, and the diamond became a harbinger of despair, a token of the divine's wrath that echoed across continents. By the dawn of the 19th century, the diamond had crossed the ocean to American shores, where it came to rest in the hands of socialite Evelyn Walsh McLean. Unbeknownst to her, the weight of history clung to it like a shroud, and as she adorned herself with its brilliance, she too would face the relentless grip of fate, the echoes of the past haunting her every step. Thus the journey of the Hope Diamond unfurled, a tale woven with threads of beauty, greed, and the relentless specter of a curse that transcended time, binding together the fates of those who dared to possess it. In the year of our Lord 1668, the bustling streets of Paris echoed with the fervent whispers of intrigue and desire, as Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, the illustrious gem merchant of France, returned from his ventures in the East, laden with treasures that would soon capture the hearts and souls of the European elite. Among the many wonders he carried was a diamond so extraordinary that it seemed to draw the very light from its surroundings. A gem of such size and clarity that its very existence stirred both admiration and dread. Tavernier, a man of keen intellect and discerning eye, had journeyed through the ornate palaces of India, traversed the tangled jungles, and navigated the treacherous waters of ambition and avarice. It was in the depths of Golconda, amidst the clamor of merchants and the shimmering allure of precious stones, that he had laid eyes upon the infamous Blue Diamond. The stone, set in the hilt of a dagger, captivated him not merely with its brilliance, but with the legends that clung to it like shadows. Tales of curses and calamities followed its passage, weaving a tapestry of fear that only heightened its allure. As Tavernier made his way back to France, he felt the weight of the diamond pressing against his soul. The gem, which he would come to name the Tavernier Blue, bore the scars of its history. It had changed hands through blood and betrayal, and Tavernier, a man who understood the delicate balance of fortune and misfortune, sensed the gravity of his acquisition. He felt as though he was not merely a merchant, but a custodian of fate, destined to unleash the diamond story upon the world. Upon his arrival in Paris, the salons and courts erupted in a frenzy of speculation. Noblewomen adorned in silks and jewels gathered, their eyes aflame with envy, as Tavernier recounted the gem's origin. He spoke of its azure decks, likening it to the heavens at twilight, and of the whispers of doom that had followed it from India. The air grew thick with anticipation, and with every word, the diamond's beauty became entwined with dark omens. Within weeks, the diamond found its way into the possession of King Louis XIV, the Sun King himself, a ruler known for his extravagant taste and unyielding ambition. The diamond, set within an ornate royal brooch, glittered against the opulence of the monarch's attire, a beacon of power and status. Yet as the king wore the jewel, tales of misfortune began to unfurl like the petals of a deadly flower. A series of calamities befell those in proximity to the diamond. Political rivals fell from grace, noblemen met untimely ends, and whispers of madness echoed through the halls of Versailles. As the years passed, the Tavernier blue became synonymous with tragedy, its brilliance overshadowed by the tales of woe that accompanied it. Murmurs spread through palaces and parlors alike, and the diamond became an object of both desire and dread. Each new owner took on the mantle of its dark legacy, as if the stone itself were a living entity, feeding off ambition and greed, leaving only despair in its wake. From France to the far reaches of England and beyond, the diamond traveled, an unyielding specter that inspired both fascination and fear. Its journey was a mirror of the human condition, of the insatiable thirst for beauty, the fragility of fortune, and the haunting specter of fate that lingered over those who dared to claim its brilliance. The Tavernier blue became not merely a gemstone, but a testament to the age-old truth that beauty often hides the darkest of secrets. In the year of our Lord, 1673, the sun hung low in the dusky Parisian sky, casting a gilded hue upon the cobblestone streets bustling with merchants and commoners alike. The air, thick with the scents of fresh bread and rich spices, was laced with the undercurrent of intrigue, for within the opulent halls of the Palais Royal, a momentous transaction was about to unfold. Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, the renowned gem dealer, strode with purpose through the grand entrance, his heart thrumming like a caged bird. He clutched within his satchel the famed blue diamond, a treasure he had unearthed from the depths of Golconda's mines, its facets glimmering with an otherworldly light, a jewel so magnificent it was said to hold the power to sway kings and bend fates. As Tavernier approached the king's chamber, he was met by the silken whispers of courtiers, their eyes alight with curiosity and envy. King Louis XIV, the self-styled Sun King, awaited him, seated upon a throne that gleamed with gold leaf, the very embodiment of regal splendor. The vast chamber was adorned with tapestries depicting the conquests of the crown, each thread woven with the stories of glory and ambition. Yet beneath the facade of magnificence lay a simmering discontent, the populace, restless and yearning for change. "Ah, Monsieur Tavernier," boomed the king, his voice resonating like a clarion call. "You bring me news of a treasure most rare." With a flourish, Tavernier revealed the diamond, holding it aloft as if it were a star plucked from the heavens. The candlelight danced upon its surface, casting prismatic rays that illuminated the king's face with an ethereal glow. "Sire, this diamond is a marvel of nature, a symbol of your divine right to rule. It is yours for the taking." Louis studied the gem, his gaze piercing, as if seeking to divine its secrets. "A jewel so exquisite must be worthy of my crown," he declared, an insatiable greed flickering in his eyes. The king's hand reached out, fingers brushing the diamond's cool surface, igniting a spark of ambition that would soon engulf the realm. With the transaction complete, Tavernier departed, the weight of his fortune heavy upon him. The diamond, now nestled within the royal treasury, was destined for recutting, its edges refined to enhance its brilliance. The jewelers toiled day and night, their skilled hands transforming it into a masterpiece fit for the grandeur of the French crown. Yet, as the diamond took on its new form, ripples of unrest began to spread through the kingdom. The lavish expenditures of the court, fueled by the opulence of the Sun King's vision, strained the very fabric of society. Bread riots erupted in the streets, echoes of discontent reverberating against the walls of power. Whispers of disloyalty and conspiracy slithered through the shadows, as the diamond, a harbinger of fortune, became a symbol of the growing chasm between the crown and the common folk. Years passed, and the diamond, now deeply embedded in the regalia of France, witnessed the rise and fall of empires. It glimmered at the coronation of monarchs, each new ruler clasping it to their breast, as if to possess not merely a gem, but the very essence of authority. Yet with every celebration, the specter of unrest loomed, the diamond's light a stark contrast to the darkness that brewed beneath the surface of society. As the echoes of the past reverberated through the annals of history, the diamond's legacy became one not merely of beauty and power, but of a deeper, more complex tapestry woven with threads of ambition, turmoil, and the unyielding quest for justice, a tale as eternal as the jewel itself. Amidst the cacophony of the Parisian streets, a pall of uncertainty hung heavily in the air. It was the year of our Lord 1792, and the fervent cries for liberty and justice echoed through the alleys like a tempest, heralding the impending transformation of France. The sun hung low, casting long shadows that danced upon the cobblestones. As revolutionaries, their faces smeared with soot and determination, surged toward the Tuileries Palace, a stronghold of the erstwhile monarchy, now besieged by the very people it had oppressed. Inside the gilded halls of the palace, a different sort of chaos reigned. The royal treasury, once a sanctuary for the wealth of kings, was now a target for marauding bands of sans-culottes, emboldened by the spirit of revolution. Among the treasures, an object of unparalleled beauty and dread lay ensconced within a velvet-lined chest, the famed Hope Diamond, its deep blue hue shimmering with an almost otherworldly glow, a symbol of both regal power and, as whispered in hushed tones, a curse that befell its possessors. As the mob pressed closer, the air thickened with the scent of gunpowder and sweat. The clang of metal on metal resounded through the corridors as guards, once loyal to the crown, found themselves torn between duty and the overwhelming tide of change. The doors of the treasury shuddered, splintering under the weight of 1,000 desperate hands. Within moments they were breached, and the revolutionaries poured in like a flood, eyes wild with greed and fervor. Pierre, a young blacksmith turned revolutionary, stood at the forefront of the throng, his heart pounding with both excitement and dread. He had heard the tales of the diamond's curse, how it had brought ruin to kings and commoners alike, yet the allure of its beauty was too intoxicating to resist. "We shall seize it," he shouted, spurring his compatriots onward. They converged on the chest, and with a collective gasp, the lid was pried open. As the diamond was lifted into the light, a hush fell over the crowd. It sparkled like a fragment of the night sky, and for a fleeting moment, the weight of the revolution seemed to lift. But that moment was quickly shattered as a scream erupted from the back of the room. A guard, realizing the theft, lunged forward, blade glinting, but was met with a cacophony of fury. The revolutionaries surged, and in the ensuing chaos, blood stained the marble floor, mingling with the remnants of opulence that had once defined the monarchy. In the days that followed, the diamond's theft would mark the beginning of a new and darker chapter. Pierre, now a reluctant custodian of the cursed jewel, felt an unease settle over him. Friends turned to foes, and allies fell by the wayside. Each succumbed to the weight of ambition and betrayal. The diamond, once a symbol of hope, now cast a shadow over the revolution's triumphs, its curse seemingly entwining itself with the fate of those who dared to hold it. Rumors spread like wildfire. The diamond had whispered to its new owners, sowing discord and despair. The very revolution that had sought to liberate the people began to devour itself, as the blood of innocence left a stain on the ideals of liberty and fraternity. And within the hearts of those who possessed the Hope Diamond, a gnawing fear took root, a fear that they would never escape its grasp, nor the reckoning of the past that echoed through the streets of Paris. Under the pallid glow of a waning moon, the opulent halls of Hope Castle bore witness to the unfolding tragedy that had consumed the illustrious lineage of the Hope family. The year was 1839, and Lord Francis Hope, a man of considerable fortune and esteemed heritage, found himself ensnared by the malevolent allure of a diamond steeped in legend. The storied gem known as the Hope Diamond had passed through the hands of many, its history marred by whispers of misfortune and despair. As the evening wore on, the walls of the castle echoed with the clinking of crystal goblets and the soft murmur of the assembled guests, unaware of the encroaching shadows that lurked within the very foundations of their sanctuary. Lord Francis, resplendent in his tailored coat of deep blue velvet, stood in the grand salon, his fingers tracing the outline of the diamond nestled in a brooch at his breast. Its deep azure hue caught the light, casting eerie reflections that danced across the marble floor, as if the stone itself sought to charm those who gazed upon it. Yet beneath the veneer of elegance and wealth, an insidious dread gnawed at Francis's heart. Just months prior, his beloved wife, Lady Mary Hope, had succumbed to a fever that swept mercilessly through the estate. Her laughter now silenced, leaving an indelible void. The news of her death had traveled swiftly, splashed across the pages of society journals, each word a dagger aimed at Francis's honor. As the mourners departed, they left behind not only grief, but also the bitter specter of bankruptcy that loomed ever closer. The diamond, once a symbol of prestige, had become his albatross. Francis had acquired it in a moment of reckless ambition, believing that its luminous beauty would restore the family stature and secure his legacy. Instead, it heralded a cascade of calamities. The estate's coffers dwindled as debts piled upon debts, creditors knocking at the door with a relentless ferocity that matched the tempest outside. The servants, once loyal and devoted, now whispered of the curse that clung to the stone like a shroud, their eyes wide with the tales of those who had perished before him. A week later, the unthinkable transpired. News reached the castle that his younger brother, Sebastian, had met his end in a tragic accident, a fall from his horse during a hunting expedition. The once vibrant laughter of the Hope family had been replaced by a chilling silence, each tragedy further entwining their fates with the cursed jewel. Desperation clawed at Francis, compelling him to entertain the most radical of ideas, to rid himself of the diamond that had brought naught but despair. He hastily arranged for a sale, reaching out to jewelers across Europe, but the aura of misfortune clung to him, a miasma that repelled potential buyers. As each day passed, the tension within the castle thickened, suffocating the remnants of joy that lingered in the air. On a storm-laden night, as Francis paced the dimly lit corridors, his thoughts wrestled with the specter of the diamond. He recalled the tales of its past, of kings and thieves, of grandeur and ruin. Each recounting seemed to tighten the noose around his heart, as the brooch's presence became a constant reminder of all that had been lost. The weight of the diamond, both physical and emotional, bore down upon him, threatening to engulf the last vestiges of hope that he clung to. In that moment, as lightning flashed and thunder roared, Francis could almost hear the whispers of those who had come before him, their warnings woven into the very fabric of the gem. The air was thick with dread, and he understood with chilling clarity. The diamond, once a symbol of magnificence, had become a harbinger of his family's undoing, ensnaring them in a web of despair from which there seemed no escape. In the heart of Paris, beneath the vaulted ceilings of a dimly lit salon, the illustrious Hope diamond lay ensconced in a glass case, its deep azure hue casting an otherworldly glow. The year was 1910, and the diamond, steeped in a history of sorrow and intrigue, had recently found itself at the center of an American socialite's aspirations. Evelyn Walsh McLean, a woman of considerable wealth and unyielding ambition, stood before the gem. Her heart racing with the thrill of possession, she could scarcely believe that the fabled jewel, long whispered to be cursed, would soon be hers. As she reached out, her gloved fingers brushed the cool surface of the glass, and a shiver ran down her spine. The tales of the diamond's dark legacy echoed in her mind, the misfortunes that befell its previous owners, the specter of calamity that seemed intertwined with its very existence. Yet Evelyn felt invincible, her spirit buoyed by her status as one of the era's most celebrated figures. With a decisive nod, she completed the transaction, her laughter ringing out amidst the muted conversations of the salon, a sound that belied the shadows lurking just beyond the edge of her newfound fortune. Upon returning to America, Evelyn displayed the diamond with pride in her lavish Washington, D.C. home, hosting grand soirees attended by the elite. The diamond sparkled at her throat, a beacon of wealth that dazzled her guests. But as the months unfurled, the atmosphere within her gilded walls grew heavy with an unsettling tension. Tragedy lingered like an unwelcome guest, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. The first blow fell with the sudden illness of her beloved son, Vincent, a lively boy of 9. He fell gravely ill, his laughter replaced by fevered whispers, and despite the frantic ministrations of the finest doctors, he succumbed to his affliction. Evelyn stood at his bedside, the diamond glinting mockingly in the sunlight that streamed through the window, as if it bore witness to her grief. The sense of loss was palpable, a deep wound that never fully healed. As the months turned to years, Evelyn's marriage to Ned McLean began to fray under the weight of despair. Once a vibrant partnership, their love eroded into bitterness and accusations, each argument echoing through the once celebrated halls of their home. The diamond, a symbol of Evelyn's triumph, had transformed into an emblem of her misfortunes. Guests began to murmur about the curse that enveloped the jewel, their whispers like the soft rustle of leaves in an autumn wind. Ned, burdened by the weight of his own disappointments and the relentless demands of society, sought solace in the company of others, abandoning Evelyn to navigate her grief alone. The diamond, now heavy upon her neck, felt less like a treasure and more like an anchor, dragging her deeper into an abyss of solitude. As time wore on and the specter of tragedy continued to haunt her, Evelyn stood before the mirror in her opulent dressing room, the hope diamond nestled against her collarbone. Amidst the lavish silks and the faint scent of lavender, she pondered the legacy she had embraced. The diamond's deep blue shimmer, once a source of joy, now reflected her sorrow, a reminder of all that had been lost. It was a jewel that twinkled with the laughter of a son now gone, and the echoes of a marriage in ruins, a beautiful yet haunting testament to the fragility of life and love. In the tumultuous landscape of the 1930s, the world was gripped by the relentless hand of the Great Depression and the shadows of looming conflict. In this era of despair, the tale of Evelyn McLean and her fateful association with the Hope Diamond unfolded like a dark fable, drawing the attention of a public hungry for spectacle and scandal. The diamond, a glimmering blue enigma with a storied past, had long been whispered about in salons and speakeasies. Its legacy intertwined with misfortune and tragedy, as Evelyn, the once esteemed socialite of Washington, D.C., navigated the ruins of her extravagant life. The media savored every morsel of her decline. Once the toast of the town, she had dazzled society with grand soirees and lavish displays of wealth. Yet, as the specter of personal loss loomed large over her, her son's tragic death, her husband's descent into madness, and the ensuing financial ruin, Evelyn became a living testament to the diamond's alleged curse. The press, with its insatiable appetite for the macabre, seized upon her misfortunes, transforming her into a tragic heroine ensnared by the very jewel that had once brought her so much joy. Papers like the Washington Times and New York Daily News churned out sensational headlines, their ink stained with the salacious details of her life. "Is the Hope Diamond a harbinger of doom?" they declared, each word a blade plunging deeper into Evelyn's already wounded spirit. Photographers, eager to capture her somber visage, lurked outside her home, their cameras ready to immortalize the sorrow etched upon her face. The diamond, once a symbol of her opulence, now became the emblem of her ruin, captivating the public's imagination like a ghost story told by flickering candlelight. In the opulent halls of her estate, now falling into disrepair, Evelyn often found herself beset by the relentless whispers of those who believed the diamond's curse to be insurmountable. It was said that the gem had passed through the hands of many ill-fated owners. The French aristocracy, whose heads fell to the guillotine, and the Indian prince, whose family was torn apart by greed. The weight of its history pressed heavily upon her, a constant reminder that beauty can harbor darkness. Yet, the media's narrative was not without consequence. As Evelyn's grief deepened, her once vibrant social life crumbled to ash. Friends turned to mere acquaintances, their eyes betraying a mixture of pity and superstition. The diamond, once the centerpiece of her gatherings, now lay in a velvet-lined box, a silent witness to the unraveling of her world. The press, reveling in her isolation, painted her as a tragic figure, ensnared by her own desires and the relentless grip of fate. Amidst the chaos, Evelyn clung to the diamond as a lifeline, her fingers tracing its cold, smooth surface, desperate for the solace it once provided. The media, however, continued to weave its narrative, casting her as a tragic heroine caught in a tale of greed and loss, a pawn in a game played by fate. The public, mesmerized by her plight, saw her not as a woman, but as a symbol of wealth turned to woe, of dreams drenched in despair, and of a legacy forever tainted by the haunting shadow of a cursed jewel. As the decade wore on, the Hope Diamond cemented its place in the annals of American legend, a tale of beauty entwined with sorrow, a testament to the paradox of desire and its inevitable cost. In the hearts of the captivated masses, Evelyn McLean's story would echo long after the final headlines faded, a poignant reminder of the price one pays for the allure of the extraordinary. The grand hall of the Hotel Drouot in Paris was a cacophony of whispers and gasps, the air thick with anticipation as the hour drew near. The opulent chandeliers cast a golden glow over the polished mahogany tables, each adorned with velvet cushions and alabaster figurines, a stark contrast to the dark legacy that the evening would unveil. It was December 1949, and the coveted Hope Diamond, a gem long synonymous with misfortune and tragedy, was about to be sold to the highest bidder. In the wake of the late Edward McLean's death, the auction house seized the opportunity to amplify the diamond's notorious reputation. A shroud of mystery surrounded the Hope, a deep blue stone that had woven itself into the fabric of history since its discovery in India, passing through the hands of kings and commoners alike. The auctioneer, a rotund man with a meticulously waxed mustache and a voice like thunder, stood poised at the podium, ready to unveil the glittering jewel that had captured the imaginations and fears of many. As the crowd jostled for position, tales of the diamond's curse circulated like wildfire. A woman in a feathered hat recounted the tragic fates of its previous owners, her voice rising above the murmurs. Marie Antoinette, the Duke of Brunswick, even the poor McLean himself. The room shivered with collective horror and fascination. To some, the Hope Diamond was a grotesque harbinger of doom. To others, it was a symbol of opulence and desire. When the moment arrived, the auctioneer gestured dramatically toward the velvet-lined case. With a flourish, he lifted the lid, revealing the diamond nestled within a bed of satin. Gasps punctuated the silence, and the audience leaned forward, entranced by the gem's allure. The blue hue shimmered under the lights, a haunting beauty that seemed to beckon and repel in equal measure. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Hope Diamond." The auctioneer's voice boomed, echoing off the walls. "Let us begin the bidding at 1,000,000 francs. The initial offer came from a bespectacled gentleman, seated in the front row, his hands trembling as he raised his paddle. The auctioneer's gavel fell, but the murmurs only intensified, igniting a frenzy that surged through the room. Bids escalated rapidly, 2,000,000, 3,000,000, as the tension mounted. The whispers grew louder, recounting the diamond's dark past, its ability to ruin lives and bring misfortune to those who possessed it. The atmosphere crackled with electricity. The air was thick with both hope and dread. A woman, draped in furs, raised her paddle high, her eyes glinting with a mix of ambition and apprehension. The auctioneer, sensing the fever pitch, leaned forward, his voice cutting through the tension. 4,000,000. Do I hear 5? As the number soared, so too did the stakes of the game. The diamond, once a haunting relic of personal tragedies, morphed into a public spectacle. each bid a gamble against the curse that clung to it like a shadow. The room swirled with emotions: desperation, greed, exhilaration, each bidder wrestling with the duality of their desire. Finally, with a triumphant crash of the gavel, the auctioneer declared, "Sold, to the lady in furs for 6 million francs." The room erupted into applause, but beneath the surface, a palpable unease lingered. The Hope diamond had transitioned from private possession to public spectacle, its curse now shared among the many who would have touched its legacy. As the new owner cradled the jewel, a thrilling chill swept through the hall, an unspoken acknowledgement that some scones were better left unturned. In the hushed galleries of the Smithsonian Institution, the air shimmered with anticipation. It was 1958, and the renowned jeweler Harry Winston, his presence as commanding as the exquisite gems he handled, had just executed a transaction that would alter the fate of a storied artifact. The Hope diamond, a gem of legendary beauty and a legacy steeped in tragedy, was about to be liberated from its tumultuous past. The diamond, originally unearthed in India during the 17th century, had traversed continents and witnessed bloodshed, betrayal, and despair. Its journey began when the French merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier acquired it and brought it to Europe, where it became the prized possession of King Louis XIV. The Sun King, draped in opulence, wore the diamond as part of his regalia, little knowing the misfortunes it would bestow upon its bearers. With the fall of the monarchy and the rise of revolution, the diamond slipped from royal fingers, igniting a chain of calamities that befell those who sought to possess it. In the candlelit salons of Versailles, whispers of the diamond's curse spread like wildfire among the courtiers, tales of misfortune and death entwining with its brilliance. Yet it persisted through the ages, passing through the hands of kings, queens, and connoisseurs, each beset by misfortune. A truth lay hidden in the diamond's depths. Beauty often exacted a toll. Now, in a new epoch and a new world, Winston's decision to acquire the diamond came as both a stroke of business acumen and an act of redemption. He envisioned a future where the Hope diamond would no longer be a harbinger of doom, but a symbol of wonder, a gem for the people. With nimble fingers, he polished the facets of the diamond, allowing its deep blue hue to captivate once more, a testament to resilience and transformation. He understood the weight of its history, the shadows it cast, but he was determined to alter its narrative. With a flourish of his signature, Winston sealed the deal, an act that sent ripples through the jewelry world. The transaction was shrouded in a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Collectors and historians alike pondered whether the diamond's storied curse would cling to it, even in the hallowed halls of a museum. Would it transform into a beloved artifact, or would its legacy of sorrow overshadow its beauty? As the diamond was transported to Washington, D.C., a palpable tension hung in the air. The vehicle carrying it was enveloped in a police escort, a precaution against the lingering threat of theft, but also a nod to the diamond's past, where greed had often led to tragedy. The streets bustled with citizens unaware of the jewel's impending arrival, their lives untouched by the weight of the diamond's legacy. Finally, as Winston placed the diamond in its display case, a hushed reverence filled the room. The gem sparkled under the gallery lights, its facets refracting the light into a dazzling array of blues and silvers. The whispers of the curse lingered, but now they merged with tales of wonder and awe. The Hope diamond would be enshrined, its beauty celebrated rather than feared. A bridge between the past and a future unshackled from its dark history. Yet as visitors flocked to gaze upon the diamond, the air remained thick with the echoes of its former life. The curse, though perhaps diminished, could never entirely vanish, a shadow forever entwined with the light. The Hope diamond was no longer merely a jewel. It had become a symbol of both peril and possibility, a testament to the power of redemption woven into the fabric of history. The grand halls of the Smithsonian Institution thrummed with life in the summer of 1968, a cacophony of awed whispers and the shuffling of feet echoing against polished marble floors. The center of attention, a striking sapphire blue, glimmered under the carefully orchestrated lighting. A jewel of infamous renown, the Hope Diamond, now mounted in a case that seemed almost too modest for its illustrious history. The people gathered, agog with both admiration and a tinge of trepidation, drawn to the stone as moths to flame. Its path to this moment had been paved with both beauty and blood. The diamond's origins lay in the depths of the Golconda mines in India, a land of opulence and treachery, where the gem first caught the eye of Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, a French gem merchant. He had bargained fiercely, acquiring the stone that would later be known as the Blue of the Tavernier. Yet, even then, the whispers of its curse began to swirl, spoken in hushed tones among the merchant class and nobility alike. It was said to bring misfortune to all who possessed it, a dark shadow trailing its brilliance. The diamond was eventually passed to King Louis XIV, who transformed it into the centerpiece of his crown jewels. As it adorned the monarch's regal attire, tales of tragedy began to unfold. Louis lost his beloved queen, Marie Antoinette, at the guillotine, the diamond glimmering in her absence, a silent witness to the tumult of revolution. Each subsequent owner met a fate steeped in sorrow. From the diamond's theft during the turbulent years of the French Revolution to its eventual disappearance. In 1901, it re-emerged in the possession of American socialite Evelyn Walsh McLean, who wore it with a mixture of pride and dread. Rumors of the curse surely haunted her. Tragedy struck with alarming frequency. The death of her son, an accident in the family's opulent home, was soon followed by the demise of her husband, whose descent into madness was marked by financial ruin. The diamond, once a symbol of wealth, became a harbinger of despair, a duality that captivated a nation. As the jewel was prepared for its debut at the Smithsonian, the air crackled with anticipation. Curators arranged the diamond with painstaking care, ensuring it captured the gaze of all who approached. When the case was finally unveiled, the collective intake of breath resonated through the gallery, a palpable tension settling over the throng. The diamond sparkled defiantly, its facets reflecting myriad colors, yet the shadows of its past loomed large, casting a pall over its beauty. Visitors came by the millions, entranced by the very notion of the curse. They lined up, eager to glimpse the shimmering enigma, some whispering tales of its tragic legacy as they waited. Each observer seemed to grapple with a complex relationship of admiration and fear, uncertain if they were drawn to the diamond's beauty or repelled by its history. Children peered through the glass, eyes wide with wonder, while their parents exchanged knowing glances, aware of the stories steeped in sorrow. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow on the museum's facade, the Hope Diamond remained an unyielding enigma. It was a testament to the allure of beauty intertwined with danger, a jewel that sparkled brightly yet whispered of shadows, a legacy that would forever haunt those who dared to covet it. In the dimly lit chambers of the Smithsonian Institution, the Hope Diamond lay ensconced within its glass case, an object of fascination and dread. Amidst the whirring of advanced machinery and the hushed whispers of scientists, a new era of gemological inquiry had begun. It was the year 2009, a time when the marriage of technology and curiosity promised to unveil the diamond's secrets. Yet the spectral shadows of its storied past lingered, whispering of curses and calamities. The diamond, with its deep, captivating blue, shimmered like a piece of the night sky, drawing the attention of those who dared approach. Visitors, transfixed by the stone's beauty, often spoke of its legendary curse, tales of misfortune befalling its owners, from the ill-fated King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette to the subsequent American owners who met tragic fates. Yet here, in this modern cathedral of science, the focus shifted from myth to matter. Under the scrutiny of advanced spectrometers and lasers, the diamond began to yield its truths. A team of gemologists clad in white lab coats gathered around the table, their faces illuminated by the glow of computer screens displaying intricate analyses. Dr. Elizabeth Harrington, a leading gemologist, adjusted her glasses, her brow furrowing with concentration. "These readings are remarkable," she remarked, her voice a blend of excitement and disbelief. The presence of boron in its structure accounts for the diamond's unique blue hue, but it also suggests a fascinating geological history. As she spoke, the room pulsed with anticipation. The scientists exchanged glances, aware that they were on the precipice of revelations that could rewrite the narrative of this illustrious gem. But beneath their scientific enthusiasm, an undercurrent of unease stirred. The diamond had been a bearer of bad luck, an artifact steeped in legends that refused to be silenced by empirical evidence. The analysis revealed that the Hope Diamond had originated from the Golconda mines in India, a region shrouded in opulence and peril. It had traversed continents, from the hands of the Mughal emperors to the salons of French aristocracy, before making its way to America. Each owner had carved their stories into its facets, and each tale, no matter how far-fetched, clung to the stone like a second skin. As the team continued their work, a sudden power surge flickered through the laboratory, plunging the room into darkness. A collective gasp echoed, followed by the frantic glow of cell phone screens illuminating anxious faces. The lights returned moments later, but Dr. Harrington felt a chill creep up her spine. It was as if the diamond itself had reacted to their scrutiny, awakening the whispers of its past. "Perhaps we should take a break," one of her colleagues suggested, his voice hesitant, as if acknowledging the weight of the tales that surrounded them. The air thickened with tension, a palpable reminder that even in the realm of science, the supernatural loomed large. Yet Dr. Harrington, fueled by an insatiable thirst for knowledge, would not be deterred. "We must continue," she insisted, her voice steady, yet laced with an unspoken apprehension. "The truth of this diamond lies in its history, and we have the means to uncover it." As they resumed their work, the echoes of the past and the promise of the future intertwined, creating a tapestry of intrigue more complex than the diamond's own brilliance. The world outside remained captivated by the stories of the Hope Diamond, but within the laboratory, a new narrative was unfolding, one grounded in science, yet haunted by the specters of its illustrious history, a tale that would not easily relinquish its grip on the imagination. In the heart of the 17th century, amid the opulence of the French court, the Hope Diamond glimmered like a fragment of the night sky, caught in the thrall of aristocratic ambition and greed. Its deep azure hue, a rare marvel, drew the gaze of Louis XIV, the Sun King himself, who coveted it as a symbol of his divine right to rule. The diamond was said to be cursed, its beauty beguiling, but its legacy drenched in misfortune. Yet, such warnings were swallowed by the glittering allure of the court, where the consequences of desire often lay hidden beneath layers of silk and satin. In the candle-lit halls of Versailles, whispers of the diamond's malignancy spread like shadows, entwining themselves with tales of its previous owners. A merchant from India had once worn it, only to meet a gruesome fate, his throat cut in the moonlight. As the diamond changed hands, it left a trail of sorrow. The gem soon became the possession of a notable figure, the infamous Madame de Pompadour, who, despite her elegance, could not escape the dark tendrils of its reputation. Her influence at court blossomed, yet the whispers persisted, an incessant reminder of the diamond's curse, shadowing her rise with dread. Centuries passed, and the diamond's legacy transformed as it crossed the ocean to America, landing in the hands of a wealthy socialite, Evelyn Walsh McLean. In the early 20th century, the grand halls of her Washington, D.C. mansion echoed with laughter and music, yet the diamond cast a pall over her life. Tragedy struck when her son fell ill, and soon after, her husband succumbed to mental illness, leaving a haunting void that could not be filled. The diamond was both her solace and her tormentor, a paradox that mirrored her own existence. As she paraded the jewel at lavish parties, adorned in her finest gowns, the guests were captivated, yet an undercurrent of fear rippled through the gatherings. McLean's attempts to harness the diamond's power only seemed to deepen the sorrow surrounding her, culminating in a series of personal losses that relegated her to the role of a tragic figure. When she finally relinquished her grip on the diamond, it was not merely a transfer of ownership, but a desperate bid to escape the shackles of fate. By the time the diamond arrived at the Smithsonian in the 1950s, it had become a symbol, not just of beauty, but of the human experience itself, the hopes, loves, and tragedies of those who had dared to possess it. In the museum's hallowed halls, the Hope Diamond was encased in glass, its brilliance undiminished, yet the air around it thrummed with the weight of history. Each visitor who stood before it, mesmerized by its azure depths, felt the chill of its legends creeping through the centuries. As they gazed upon the diamond, a flicker of awareness passed between them, the knowledge that they were not merely observers of a relic, but participants in an ongoing narrative, one woven through the intricate tapestry of fate. The curse, though unproven, thrived in the stories passed down through generations, a testament to humanity's perpetual dance with destiny, a dance that would continue. As long as the diamond remained, a haunting reminder of the past intertwined with the present.